Sarah Sanders joins us from in front of the White House. Sarah, almost Merry Christmas to you.
Good morning. Merry Christmas to you guys.
Thank you very much. So we know that the House has passed this bill. It's got about $6 billion worth of wall money in it. Now it goes over to Mitch McConnell and the Republicans in the Senate. Will they be able to pass this thing?
I certainly hope so. The House Republicans delivered a huge victory last night for border security, and we're very hopeful that the Senate will come through and help protect the American people. We have to put a stop to the massive inflow of drugs, human trafficking, and terrorists coming across our border. We need to know who's coming in, why they're coming, and what they're going to do when they get here. So we have to have an orderly process, and we need a wall and we need border security in order to have that. We have to protect the people of this country, and the president is going to stand firm and make sure that that happens one way or another.
Sarah, Senator Steve Daines, he tweeted out that the Senate can do the same by eliminating the filibuster, 51 votes, same as we do for judges. Is that something that you think they'll take seriously and actually do?
They should. This is such an important issue, and it's something that all of America wants to see happen. And frankly, Americans want to be protected. The Senate has a constitutional duty and a constitutional authority to actually protect our country. We can't be a sovereign country if we don't have borders and we don't have protection of American citizens. And so we hope that they'll step up and do their jobs today before they go home and take vacation. Yeah. For Christmas. This is something that's so important, and we hope that they'll do whatever is necessary to get the job done.
Well, we don't know anything that's on the schedule. Yesterday, I know a lot was ad-libbed in the afternoon, and they made a huge impact and had a substantial vote that showed that Nancy Pelosi was actually called out and proven flat out wrong. You got the vote, you passed out of the House. But is there anything?
That's not the first time, Brian. I don't suspect it'll be the last time. Nancy Pelosi has been around a long time, and I think she's going to be wrong a whole lot over the next couple of years as well.
Yeah, but she was so blatantly wrong and such black and white. She must feel humiliated today to a degree. But I'm wondering, the way it used to be is if the House has one vision and the Senate has another, they work it out and talk. Is there a sense that they might want to go home for Christmas and maybe meet halfway on some of these issues? Do you know of anything on the schedule, whether visits to the White House or meetings on the Capitol?
Look, we'll do whatever we need to do and whatever we can do to help the process, but at this point, it's up to the Senate. One thing that I think has been missed and didn't get a lot of coverage yesterday was what we have worked out, what this administration has been able to do in conjunction with the Mexican government, and the massive and monumental moment that took place yesterday where catch and release has ended. And it's a sad day in America when the Mexican government is doing more to protect the American people than Senate Democrats. I hope that they will not let that be the case by the end of the day, and they will work with us and work with the President and Senate Republicans to get this done and let everybody go home and let us start building the wall and let us start protecting our border.
Well, we have heard a lot of rhetoric on both sides. The big question is, will the President still be going to Mar-a-Lago for his 2-week Christmas vacation, even if there is a government shutdown, which he says I'm okay with, according to Politico?
If there is a government shutdown, the president will stay here in Washington, D.C. But again, we're hopeful that people will step up and do their jobs today and get that done.
Sarah, realistically, what are the odds? I know you're not a betting woman, but what are the odds that the Senate will pass something and there will not be a government shutdown?
That's a question you'll have to ask the Senate. I think they have a much better feel for what they're capable of doing.
What is the philosophy right now at the White House about it?
The president's been extremely clear. If they don't get this done, then he's shutting down the government, and he said that just a few minutes ago via Twitter, and the president's not going to back down on this, and he's going to stand firm because it's so important, and it's such a vital part of our democracy to make sure that we're protecting our borders and protecting the people of the country.
It's too bad the Republicans were so slow to realize that. Meanwhile, Secretary of Defense Mattis has decided to retire. In a lengthy letter, I looked everywhere, Sarah. Now, any praise for the president. President praised him. He's leaving, basically, it seems, because of the way the president treats our allies, in his view, and the pullout in Syria and Afghanistan seems to have been too much. How bad is the relationship right now?
Look, they continue to have a good relationship, but they disagree on a number of fronts that he outlined. And but at the end of the day, the American people elected one person to be the commander-in-chief and to make decisions. The president listens to all of his national security team, of which is a big group. He takes their advice, and at the end of the day, he makes the decision. That's what he was elected to do. And if Secretary Mattis doesn't feel like he's the right person to fill that job, I think it was the right thing and an honorable thing that he did in stepping aside to put somebody in a position he feels like is the right person for that time. Look, and he served the president and this country. He served in this administration for 2 years, and he served the country and the military for over 4 decades. An incredible person, an incredible servant to this country, and somebody that we have the highest amount of respect for and wish him very well and look forward to continuing to work with him over the next 2 months. Let's not forget, he's not just walking out the door. This will be an orderly process, and it will continue to be a good relationship over these next couple of months.
Who's on the list for his replacement?
I think there are a lot of people that are on that list. The good news is we have a strong deputy at the Defense Department that can help hold the ground while we transition and look for a new person and go through the confirmation process.
Right, Sarah, a lot of people, when the president announced the drawdown in Syria and Afghanistan, if you're watching a lot of the channels, people are very concerned about it. But if you've been watching Donald Trump for the last couple of years, this is something he has been talking about. This is one of the reasons people voted for him.
Exactly. Anybody that says they're surprised by this has simply been living under a rock. The president has been talking about this since the campaign. He brought it up again 8 months ago, 6 months ago. He's wanted to bring our troops home. Yeah. Look, our goal and the president's purpose of continuing to be in Syria was to defeat ISIS. We've defeated the territorial caliphate. 99% of ISIS has been wiped out of Syria. The president doesn't want to be in the middle of another civil war in the Middle East and put American lives on the line for that purpose. He wants to bring the men and women of our armed forces home, and that's what he pledged to do, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Sarah, he's giving Russia a big win. Vladimir Putin praised him. He also is doing exactly what he criticized President Obama for doing. He said President Obama is the founder of ISIS. He just refounded ISIS because they got 30,000 men there, and they're already striking back with our would-be evacuation. The president's got it. He's really on the griddle with this.
Brian, I have to respectfully and vehemently disagree with you. The idea that the president has had anything to do with helping ISIS reemerge is absolutely outrageous. The president has put so much emphasis on rebuilding and making sure we have the strongest military on the face of the planet. If ISIS wants to pick a fight with somebody, they sure as heck don't want to pick one with Donald Trump, because he will destroy them and defeat them, and he's made that extremely clear. We've wiped out 99% of ISIS in Syria. The president doesn't want to be in the middle of a civil war in the Middle East and continue to put American lives on the line. If we need to fight ISIS again, the president's not afraid to do that.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much. We wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, guys.
Let's bring in Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. He voted for that bill last night, so you did get it out of the House, Congressman.
I did.
Does not appear that the Senate is inclined to vote to approve. What happens now?
Well, John, you're right. Remember, just a week ago, Nancy Pelosi sat in the Oval Office and said that there aren't the votes in the House to pass this. Last night, we proved that wrong. 217 Republicans voted for it, 185 Democrats voted against it. So it'll go to the Senate now. We'll see what happens. My concern is, though, that there are too many Democrats more concerned about stopping the president than helping the country. Everyone knows this is good common sense. Walls work, as the president just said. This was a central promise in the 2016 campaign. Everybody around the country knows we should get this done, except, it seems, Democrats in the United States Congress. So we'll see what happens today in the United States Senate.
Is there any chance that you can reconcile those two bills? I mean, do you think there will be enough Democrats in the Senate that, I don't know, maybe they cut a couple of $1 billion after it and the president says that's good enough?
Well, you know, they were there a few weeks ago. Chuck Schumer was willing to go for a certain amount of money for the wall. They had some restrictions placed on different things. So they were there a few weeks ago. Certainly a few years ago they were there. A number of senators, Democrat senators, had voted to support a border security wall. This is common sense. You want to deal with the drug problem? You want to help deal with the gang problem, the human trafficking problem? build a border security wall, do what we said. So, again, hopefully they'll figure it out and we can get 60 votes and get this done. Or as the president, I think, said this morning, maybe there's a chance they can do it with 50 and we can get rid of this crazy filibuster rule that they have in the United States Senate.
Your colleague, Kevin McCarthy, Republican Majority Leader, says that part of the problem he sees here is that Democratic leadership is in a box. Listen to this.
It comes to about Nancy Pelosi's vote for Speaker. That comes January 3rd. She has a very tight vote going through. Chuck is afraid that if he does something about doing something with border security, that we would upset those new freshman Democrats that are more socialist coming in for her vote. I think the American people are more important. I think our security is more important than that, and we can do bigger things. Let's deal with this and solve it.
Do you think that if Nancy Pelosi weren't facing a leadership election coming up, an election for a vote for Speaker, that there might be more inclination among Democrats to vote for this thing?
Yeah, John, I don't know. What I do know is the radical position the Democrat Party has unfortunately taken. Remember, the standard bearer for their party in 2016, Secretary Clinton, talked about a borderless hemisphere. We've had Kate's Law come up. They won't support that. We've had reform on sanctuary cities to get rid of this sanctuary city phenomena we see happening around the country. They won't support that. And now here we have a simple $5 billion for a border security wall that we know works, that is common sense, and they won't support this. Again, I think it comes back to they're more focused on stopping the president than they are on helping the country. Let's help the country. Let's come together. We're willing to work with them, but let's come together and actually build the border security wall and fulfill a fundamental promise we made the American people that we know will help the situation on our southern border.
Congressman Jim Jordan, Republican of Ohio. Thanks for spending some time with us this morning.
You bet, John.
Raise their children there and hold on to their own culture and so forth. What can you tell us?
So we're announcing today what I think is a truly groundbreaking plan to keep illegal aliens out of the United States. It is a very significant border security development. It will no longer be the case that aliens who come here remain inside the United States during the pendency of their asylum claims. So the idea of catch and release will be replaced with catch and return. We expect this will result in a truly historic drop in illegal immigration because the incentive to come here, file an asylum claim, and remain in the United States during the pendency of that claim will no longer exist.
And is this in consultation with other countries' presidents and leadership, so they are on board with the receiving of migrants back to their home countries?
So we will be returning the detainees to Mexico, or excuse me, the illegal aliens to Mexico. We've made clear to the Mexican government our intent to do this, and they have made an announcement, or shortly will make an announcement about how they're going to deal with those returned migrants. They're going to offer them opportunities inside of their country to protect the rights of those migrants, but they will not be inside the United States during the time that their asylum claim is being processed.
Oh, this is a groundbreaking move. And I know you've been working on. I follow your travel schedule from afar, and I kind of see where thinking, Pompeo, Nielsen, they're up to something. And I was hoping there was something good, but you always have to deal with the lawsuits. You've had ACLU and various migrant groups and NGOs getting together, pooling money, pooling resources, and you have these nationwide permanent and temporary injunctions that continue to thwart the president's, article, his Article 3 authority to, Article 1 authority, to protect our country. And what are you going to do about that? Because the moment this is announced, they're going to take you to court.
So we hope that's not the case, but we expect that you're right about that. This is pretty clear. The Immigration and Naturalization Act, Section 235, makes clear that the president has the authority to do this. It's under existing law, and we remain convinced that this is a power that the president was granted by Congress to execute exactly the way we have. We've had lots of thought and legal review of this. We are confident that we are on firm ground, and we know that the fact that these folks will be taken care of, they'll get more help in Mexico, will solve the problem we've had of folks coming into the United States, claiming asylum, and then disappearing into our country during the pendency of their claim.
Okay, so when someone comes here, let's say they walk across the border, they claim asylum and they make the credible fear threshold, persecution in homeland, which is, again, we got a judge yesterday, Emmett Sullivan, who has basically said gang violence and domestic abuse both count now as asylum categories. So at that point, when they claim asylum, their case would be pending. Would they have to then go back home if they make that threshold claim of credible fear?
So there will obviously be a detailed process for the claims that these folks will be making. I'll leave to DHS to talk about the details of how that will be processed. But this is a fundamental shift in how the United States is going to handle the disposition of these illegal aliens during the time that their claim is being processed. We're confident we're on firm legal ground, and we think this is, frankly, in the best interest of these migrants as well. We think that they will now see that they can't disappear inside the United States, and so they will remain in their home countries, a place that doesn't present all the risks that we have seen to these migrants, these illegal aliens entering the United States, that comes from making the transit through Mexico into our country.
Mr. Secretary, I know you have to hop in a second, but this survey that came out a few days ago that was parroted and trumpeted all over certain cable outlets, CEOs say that they often have to apologize to their business partners abroad for Trump's diplomacy. 3/4 of CEOs say they've apologized for the president. Your reaction to those CEOs?
I didn't see that survey. That's ridiculous. America remains a global leader on every front. President Trump has exerted American influence in a way that protects America, that understands that American sovereignty matters and that other nations' sovereignty matters too. We and every American citizen should be rightfully proud of American diplomacy in the Trump administration.
And will there be any news or announcements on China before the end of the year?
Stand by.
Okay, Mr. Secretary.
I know it's your last show, but nothing to add.
Oh, darn. Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for joining us. Have a Merry Christmas to you and your family. And we just appreciate you so much. And you've done such a great job, both at the CIA and at State, and a great team there as well. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Laura. Merry Christmas to you.
All right, we'll take a break. Don't go away. We got Dan Rather gone. Brian Williams is at 11 o'clock. Matt Lauer's gone. Who else? There's a lot of others. Les Moonves is gone at CBS. I mean, line 2, MR. MR. Who the hell is MR? MR. This is our last radio show, so enjoy it. And remember, podcast 1 in January. MR, go ahead. Hello? MR? Are you there? What is going on with our lines, James? Okay, well, MR will have to call back. I don't understand why this is like a Curb Your Enthusiasm. The last show with technical problems. You can't. So, AJ, let's take us back to 2006 and a particular legislative fight involving George W. Bush, John McCain, and others on Capitol Hill.
So that what was known as the McCain-Kennedy bill was actually called technically the Secure America and Orderly Immigration Act. Okay, there was an 06 version and an 07 version, and it was the McCain-Kennedy amnesty bill, and they were all over you. They wanted to try to convince you to support this thing, getting private phone calls, getting knocks at the front door. Trying to get us to, John Kyle even tried to convince you that it was wonderful, and we totally stopped it. So it was family values don't stop at the Rio Grande.
Oh no, the Bush trope that didn't work. We shut that down. We would have had another 10 million illegal immigrants in the country if we had signed. MR, okay, MR is on the line now. Line 2, MR.
Hello, Abraham. Hello.
Hello.
I
Yes.
don't know what the problem is here. Your phone system is as bad as this show, honey. It's terrible today.
Oh,
Hello?
thanks. Thank you. Okay, I hear you.
Oh, well, you said a moment ago, Ingraham, that all the giants are leaving us. Well, I had to say goodbye to another giant as you leave the radio airwaves. And I'll be glad to go back to my blues station and not have to hear your voice anymore.
Okay. Well, first of all, this is not exactly.
Hello?
We love you.
It's
too.
not exactly the nicest send off.
Well, look, we have been, I would say, frenemies for a while now, since you took the Obamas on. You went after them in a cruel way, Laura Ingraham. You had to attack their garden. You had to attack Misha's beautiful dresses. But you did withhold your scorn for that wonderful example of a elder states lady. And that would be who? Go ahead.
Marion.
You can reveal it